as I mentioned last week, we watched this video by Sabine Hossenfelder. We're going to watch 30 seconds of it tonight just to kind of refresh people's memories about one part. But we watched this video by Sabine Hossenfelder. Now, I don't know her work well, certainly. As far as I can tell from a quick skim through her YouTube channel, I mean, she's a theoretical physicist, and so a lot of the subjects that she talks about are what you would expect. I saw something like, do we really have a good reason to think dark matter exists? I saw one where she was like responding to like memes about quantum physics. Is time travel physically possible? It's all the many worlds interpretation, right? And it's all a lot of stuff like this. And I haven't watched it, but it's a very popular channel. There's like 1 million some subscribers, and I'm sure she's good at it, right? I think that from what I could tell from the one video of hers I have seen, I think she has some relevant skills that would make her good at it. I think it's a good thing for scientists to sort of communicate with the public about science. I'm all for that. But she did this video about capitalism and why capitalism is actually great. And that one, speaking to GTAA patrons, I'll shock people, say that I didn't find it compelling. And so I wrote this article about it for Jacobin, which, kind of sums up what, one of the main problems was with the content of the video. The title is "Capitalism Isn't Just Buying and Selling Things. It's a System of Domination." And the point that I was making in that article is that, she seems to spend a lot of time talking about the sort of basic mechanics of markets, about why it's useful to have like money as a universal medium of exchange instead of just like bartering. And at the same time, like really the only thing she says about alternatives to capitalism is I'm not going to try to do her accent. The only places that don't use capitalism today, and she lists off North Korea, Cuba, and Laos, which I'll also mention are really different from each other, but whatever. Not places you would want to live. And so the striking thing about this is, what all those places use? Money. I've been to Cuba. I paid for goods and services using Cuban pesos, which is money that's actually issued by the Cuban state. So yeah, it's so this is confusing in its own right. And she never, like, the only mention of the word class in her 16-minute video defending capitalism is exactly one sentence with the word class in it, which is something like capitalism has gotten a bad rap because Karl Marx said that it's just about seizing the means of production and exploiting the working class. That's it, right? That is the one mention of the word class. The next sentence is something like, well, there's some truth to that, but that's a different story. And the strong implication is like, okay, maybe people were mean to some workers in the 19th century, but then we got like a nice regulatory state, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. But I mean, this is me extrapolating a little bit from what she says, because like, she just touches on it for the barest moment. And this really goes to one of my big things about this video, which is like, okay, I mean, look, beyond the fact that if I had to name 3 countries where non-capitalist systems have not exactly played out in laboratory conditions, Cuba, North Korea, and anywhere in the Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia area would definitely be on the list. If you know a little bit of relevant history about the embargo of Cuba, or the Vietnam War, or even in Korea, definitely the least desirable of the 3 places that she mentioned, as far as, if I had to rank which one I want to live in, it's like the United States bombed the shit out of North Korea in the Korean War, like to a far greater extent than I think, the general audience of MASH viewers has a good sense of. Like by some estimates, as much as like 15% of the population of North Korea died from that. So this was, again, I think that, like, not that I'm a big fan of any of those political systems, but I think that sort of, maybe as a scientist, right, like kind of treating this as a sort of quasi experiment is a little bit odd. But more than that, the fact that this is the only mention of alternatives to capitalism, it's like, have you ever talked to a socialist? Do you have some sense of what people who are critical of capitalism think, why they're critical of capitalism, like what they advocate to replace it with? Really doesn't seem like it, or at least that's how it seems to me. So let's get the graphic one more time of the original article to set this up. So, yep, there we go. Capitalism isn't just buying and selling things. It's a system of domination. And then, somebody on Twitter, like, tagged her. I mean, I tagged her, but she doesn't follow me. So, somebody on Twitter tagged her, and to get her response to the article. Oh yeah, sorry. She says, actually, there was an earlier one I don't think we have, where she says, system of domination. Well, maybe that's what critics think, in scare quotes. But I think capitalism is about capital, which, just that tweet is a thing of beauty. That's I saw Stephen Bertram Lee sent me from the I think this was from the Reddit Ask Philosophy subreddit, since he hangs out there a lot, and I think there are a lot of people there who are not fans of this woman because she sort of barges into a lot of philosophical debates, in ways that show that she might not quite get what the issues are or whatever. And so somebody had posted that tweet. It says Sabine Hossenfelder moment. So that's already beautiful. But yeah. So then, like, the response to that was, okay, but did you read the article? And her response to, okay, but did you read the article, is the first tweet we have here. If the title is nonsense already, of course I'll not read any further. Have a nice day. So there you go. I'd said, gotta say, you aren't exactly proving me wrong about your stunning lack of curiosity about what people whose views your video allegedly refutes actually think. Somebody later on in the conversation says this is especially cool because she never really explained what capital is in her video. Just maybe you watch somebody else's video. Okay. I found the one and only part of her video that could possibly be construed as an answer to this question.
However, your friend Sue has been getting really rich with all her chickens. So rich, in fact, she's sitting on a big pile of money that she doesn't know what to do with. Sue sees your problem and offers you a deal. She gives you some of her money so that you can buy your juice press. You just have to agree that if you get rich with your juice press, you give her the money back, plus something on top. That money which Sue gives to you is your capital. And such was born the capitalist. The capitalist is a person or institution who provides capital to those who want to launch a new business, someone who's able and willing to take the risk that this capital will never have a return on investment. Today, we grow up with money and banks and all that, and we tend to
That's it. Nothing else in the video could be construed as a definition of capital beyond what she just gave.
So it's just Sue's stack of money. Just,
I guess, yeah.
I can't wait to delve into her music.
Capital apparently is when you loan money to people, or maybe when you loan money to people to start businesses, or at the very least, a capitalist is somebody who does this, which I think is not exactly unrelated to the point about her kind of missing what critics of capitalism are banging on about, and not really, other than that one sentence, which I quoted verbatim about Karl Marx, the only other critic of capitalism who's mentioned at any point in the video is 20-year-old Greta Thunberg, who she quotes the single sentence from Greta as "capitalism will kill us all," and that's it, right? Those are the two sentences where she references any sort of critic of the capitalist system. She certainly gives no indication of understanding what they mean by it, by any of this stuff. That perhaps I mean, if one way of using the word capital is just to mean like the means of production, like productive resources, whether in the form of money or factories and stuff. Get private ownership of that stuff where you are employing people. That's that would be getting into what Marxists call the relations of production, which would actually be what they understand in terms of capital and capitalism, and thus Marx's point, which it's a shame because she could read him in the original German if she wanted to, but she doesn't seem to have glanced at Capital at any point, his book on this subject, which is if you want to know what Marx thinks capital is, my suggestion would be to check out Capital by Marx. But she never seems to have glanced at it, and if she had, she might get the idea that, well, because the means of production, a phrase she uses with her eyes kind of rolled to the back of her head, are owned by this group of capitalists, which doesn't just mean finance capitalists, which I guess is what Sue with the chickens is in this scenario.
She means a bank, basically, right?
Yeah, she basically means a bank, right? Like an investment bank.
And actually, the real owners of the means are like the majority of the owners of means production. Like a lot of them would probably get loans from banks themselves, right? So it's really just obscuring the issue.
No, it's totally obscuring the issue. I mean, look, we could have a much less efficient form of capitalism where we didn't have investment banks, for example, where there was no such thing as like as an accepted system for making business loans, and just everybody who started a business either, I don't know, saved up their wages or robbed a bank or won a bunch of money in a high stakes poker game. And it's like, yes, that would be, I'm sure, a much less prosperous and efficient form of capitalism than what we've got now, but it'd still be capitalism, right? If it was still the case that there was a class of capitalists, most of whom, as you point out, Jake, do not fit her definition, who own the means of production, and then everybody else, if they wanted to make a living and didn't just want to see how long they could survive on welfare or live in the streets or, go find a shack in the woods, everybody else had no realistic option except to sell their working hours to those capitalists and thus to accept domination by them, right? That would still be capitalism. All right. Now, this, to be fair, she's only a theoretical physicist. She can't possibly be expected to do reading or think about sources. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive postgames on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.